And welcome one and all to a special RSG live stream. I am Finity, and I am joined by my other RSG compatriot, Mr. Grande Patron. Grande, how are you doing today? Welcome one and all to
Hey,
a
how's it going?
special RSG. I'm doing good. Now I hear an echo somewhere. I'm trying to make sure. I don't
Yeah,
know where
it's
it's from.
probably me.
Okay,
Let
just
me
making
fix
sure it's
it.
not on my end.
It's me. It was me. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
It's better now.
So this is starting off great.
apparently I had the video open with sound on. Go figure, right? Good
Well, at least we
times.
know the sound is working. So, welcome, guys. We don't typically do a stream at this time, but uh, today it is one of those days. So, just to kind of let you guys know what we're going to be discussing here, we'll talk a little bit about ships in terms of the combat itself, but primarily we're going to be giving you guys our opinions on the ship update itself, the good, the bad, and unfortunately the ugly. Part of the impetus for doing this was the fact that uh, we have unfortunately heard about a lot of people that have been essentially rage quitting over this game uh, because of the ship updates. Uh, so
Yes.
whenever something like that happens, we always want to make sure that we're voicing the opinion not about just our frustration with ships, right? But why are people quitting? What was the problem with what was rolled out? So this isn't a complaint about necessarily ships 2.0. It's a complaint more, and I think Grande will agree with me here. It's more a complaint about how this was rolled out. If this was the changes that they wanted to have made, would that be a fair statement, Grande?
Yeah, so I think that potentially what we have here, and I don't know if I think people are confused, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to, let's kind of stop the shock value for a minute and let's realize that I think that there's a little bit of confusion here. I think there's a little bit of people not understanding what's going on, people not understanding what the possibilities are or what they need to be doing. And so no information leaves people to be kind of petrified a little bit. I get that. It happens in real life. So I think that we need to kind of help with some of that a little bit. We need to help people and say, hey, how can we first of all, how can we help you understand it? How can we how could this have been done better? If it could have been done better, how? And then let's try to make sure it doesn't happen in the future, right? I think
Yeah.
it's so I kind of want to take a more like a mildly positive spin on it, but I also do want to slash some criticism at the process.
Yeah, because I think one of the big problems here is that it wasn't rolled out in a way where it was player friendly. Now, there's two different parts to it, like what Grande was saying, right? One is part of it is there is kind of a learning aspect to it and making sure that everyone gets accustomed to it. But the other problem is when you're doing this kind of rollout, it's important that you do take into account the way just normal people will react to a change of this magnitude. And as a result of that, I don't think that part was taken into consideration. And at least for me, one of my biggest complaints in general was the way that decisions were made with regards to different rollouts. And unfortunately, it's
But
happened previously. And I think this is just
yep,
another example where something something is amiss. They've
I
done a great job with communication, but somewhere in the decision making, there's a flaw with how they come up with the
I
decisions
agree.
to roll these out.
By the way, I have a ship's battle I can fight. So if we wanted to put that up there, I'm sharing my screen now. I think. Okay. Well, and then if we wanted to do it in the next few minutes, we could kind of actually show some real content, which I think might be kind of nice. So maybe I'll talk while you try to figure it out. Um. Okay. So what's good and what's bad? We got tutorials at the same time as we got the new rollout of ships 2.0. It would have been nice to have had 2 or 3 or 4 weeks of tutorials before we actually got the new ships. I think that's probably the number one thing that I think was there. I think too potentially some they said the reason why they needed to do this is because they didn't feel like we were very engaged in the ship content, or we weren't engaged to the level that we were in the other areas. Well, let's start off right away with the freaking prizes and the ranks. I think prizes and ranks have a lot to do with that. They're not giving out the same amount of credits, in ships as they are in regular arena. I mean, if we look at the top spots, you're not getting the same number of credits. You're not getting the same number of anything as you were in the other areas, right? And so when I look at this, I'm kind of befuddled as to that, and it doesn't go down as far. I think that's a little bit of a challenge here, and that it shouldn't be that way. So I think we have multiple pieces of this as a problem.
You want to share your game screen, Grande? I think I at least have it visible. I need to clean it up a little bit, but
oh yeah, I thought I was sharing it now. Am I
no,
not
you're
sharing
sharing
my
the
game?
YouTube part.
Oh, whoops. Is that better? Do you see it now?
There we go.
All right, I should be sharing my screen now.
With
Hopefully.
Skype on top of it, so you got to move the Skype. But yeah.
Oh yeah, that should be better now. Let's see. Is that better?
Yes. Now don't move
All
it,
right.
because I'm trying to clean it up.
All right, I'm not gonna move it. I promise. That way you can cut it all to pieces, or however you want to cut it. All right. So let's go in and run a ships battle. I think my spot today, I'm supposed to be third. I think. Somebody hit fourth. So I guess I'll hit second. See how that goes. I don't know why I'm supposed to be fourth. Who knows? I'm supposed to be fourth. Maybe this guy hit third, so I could hit fourth. We'll do that. Because I don't have Discord up right now. So what should we stick in here? I mean, I have everything possible I could stick in here, right? I think that's part of the issue is nobody knows what to put in here, right? Nobody knows which capital ship to use. And then once we get in here into ships, people are petrified to spend their omegas, right? To spend this omega currency. That's kind of scary and daunting. And then it's also scary and daunting to spend this reinforcements stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does it look like? To me, it looks like that either Executrix or Chimera is probably going to be one of the better two ships. It's probably not going to be Home One.
I think Home One is actually going to be pretty decent on defense.
And it's probably not going to be Endurance.
And I might disagree with you there too, Grande.
See, we're already off to a great start, aren't we?
Yeah, no. If Grande and I can agree on something, I mean, seriously, that means there's something going. That's something wonky.
Well, what it means is that, like, where are all the videos about all the content, right? Where are the videos talking about, I mean, let's just look at it. Where are the videos talking about should we run a first order squad? Right?
Yeah.
I don't see a video about that. We've seen a couple of videos saying Geonosians are OP. That's great. Most of us haven't really leveled up our Geonosians.
And honestly, when I've used them in the event that they give, I'm not really thrilled about them. I don't know how much you play them in that event that you can play with the Geonosian event units. I'm not thrilled about those ships at all.
So let's go in here with I've kind of picked on this lineup. I'm not sure if it's great or not, but it's the lineup I've chosen for the moment, which is Biggs, Vader, Bistan under Thrawn lead, and then I throw from reinforcements. I throw Slave One, the Silencer, Kylo's shuttle, and the Millennium Falcon. But I'm not sure this is great. I'm just saying I tend to win. It seems like with this lineup. So I think the guy in third is supposed to be fourth, but he didn't do it because I was sitting in his spot, right? So that's why he kind of jumped over. So do these abilities work? Yeah. Does this seem much more? And I've also found that it seems like I need to heal up before I need to go try to kill everyone for whatever reason. That seems to work better too. And I'm not exactly sure why, but it seems like it works better that way. So I always make sure I do that, but I'm probably going to lose because now I'm already 2v3 and it's not even my turn yet. So let's try to bring something in. I've already got a taunt up, so I'm not going to bring in a taunt. Let's bring something that can kill something, I guess. All right, we brought something that can kill something. And he's going to get a taunt up. So we kind of, you can kind of see how it's a little strange how this battle works. And I've got like tons of, you know, power over this guy, but I'm always fighting from a disadvantage. So it's a little bit tricky right now. The other thing too is we don't know how scarce or how often we're going to get these. Let's try to put target lock on somebody else. So that way whenever it's our turn to put somebody else in, if we get another chance, we can maybe bring in Boba Fett, and now I can try to at least hit two people at the same time. So I'm looking kind of okay until that happens. I'm just saying it's very strange to me how this works because it doesn't feel like um, he got his ultimate off and we're done. It's a very RNG. You know, it looked like I was going to win and then I didn't. Let's hit him again, just because Grande likes to spend money.
So,
Uh,
just a few things, I guess.
sure.
So when Grandi and I are going to talk a little bit about the ships, a little bit about kind of the rollout, and honestly, it'll be a little bit griping. I'm not going to lie. There's going to be some griping, at least from my end, and I'm guessing Grande too. Um, it's not that we can't do ships. You saw Grande is already kind of in number 4. I hit rank 5 for my payout, so we're doing ships. We're some of the people that have been doing ships, and I didn't like ships beforehand. Just full disclosure here. I've never been a
I
fan of
do like
ships.
ships.
You,
Yeah,
you yeah. It's just I never found ships engaging. I did it for the crystals. So there was never really that interest point for me, and it seemed like what they were trying to do was generate that interest in ships. And while the battles, at least for me, my experiences are a little bit different from Grande, but I also run different ships than you do. Um, I have found that ships is a little easier for me actually to do,
hmm
but I have found that the battles actually take longer. Um,
the battles do take longer.
I used to be able to do them in
Absolutely.
like in a minute and a half, and now
There
they
you go.
usually take
I
about
won
two
that time. I
minutes.
won that like and only saw one of his reinforcements.
Yeah.
I mean, that's serious RNG right there.
Hmm.
Serious RNG. How do I win? How do I lose one and wipe it, and then the other one I get it? It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of different aspects to it. So here's the kind of the main problem I think with the whole Ships 2.0 rollout that they have. Um, when they redo characters in small groups. Partially because a player base is never going to be happy with a large scale change of anything, right? You want to always make the players in a position where even though their current ships may not be the meta, that they are still useful. You never want to, and this goes back to like when we were talking about raids, right? There's certain ways you have to accommodate players in order to make them not feel disengaged with their content. And if you make it so there
Agreed.
is a massive change in content, right? You're going to make it so players are not engaged anymore. And these are the players that were already engaged. In order to try and bring in new players, you can't go and make a change that's going to get rid of current players. And by making a lot of the ships completely different, and I don't know why they changed the ships to this magnitude. I think the decision making on that is kind of weird. Whoever probably came up with the idea to make that many changes to ships all at once um, doesn't understand people. I think a lot of times, a lot of these decisions are because they're not taking into account players are people. You have to handle them accordingly. You can't make whole scale changes like this on such a short notice and be like, here's all the changes. Here's a big pile of changes on your lap. You guys sort through it. There, like Grande said, there's not videos, right? There's not that many videos from game changers that are giving you an idea about what ships to run. In fact, if you talk to most of the game changers, most of them like, we're still trying to figure out these abilities. That's not a good position for the community to be in, especially if your game changers are the ones that you're trying to have as kind of the liaisons to the players to tell them about the new content. So basically, this whole rollout was, here's a bunch of ships change. They gave a bunch of purposes which don't match the end
Mm-hmm.
result of the ship changes, and then they have game changers that don't tell you anything because they're not sure about what to do either. I think the most thing that we got was Warrior saying that Geonosians will have more of a purpose now, and they do. They're better than they were before, especially with 3 ships and the synergy that you get with the 3. But the problem is they're still not all super viable. The event that they have doesn't really showcase them very well, in my opinion.
I
Um,
agree.
and you don't allow them. So they created the event today, the advanced fleet tactics, and in the last tier, you got rewards, right? So I understand there were some rewards that you got as a result of it. But why couldn't they make it so after the first time you could get battles instead of the stupid tier 1 battle that we keep getting? Why can't we get more access to the tier 3 battles with no rewards? Why can't we test out our ships in this tier 3 battle instead of just the
Agree.
one time? They had so many opportunities here to roll this out in a way that players could get adjusted to it. And just on that note, changing an entire system from 5 to 3 was in my opinion, a really dumb idea. It doesn't serve any purpose except screwing up every single piece of content that you have. Because now you've changed the way your entire fleet works. Then you change now the way territory wars work, because if you guys didn't watch Jedi Academy today, we had Warrior and Arnold on. And one of the questions Loki brought up on the Wednesday stream was whether or not in territory wars, if you have 3 ships starting out
Oh yeah.
and then you lose,
Oh
can the opposing team start out with 5 and you're still bringing in 3?
yeah.
And Warrior and Arnold confirmed, yes, you can start off 3v5. So now if you preload a ship, you've completely destroyed your ship territory in territory wars. So
And some people don't have 4 or 5 strong. They don't have 4 strong fleets, right? They have
exactly.
like 2, or they have like or they have maybe 2.5. So they get some bad RNG on this thing, and all of a sudden your entire TW is being swung one way or the other based on freaking fleet. I mean, was that the plan? I mean, was the plan that we said? Was that the plan?
I,
I don't know.
I don't know. It changes territory wars to a point where I think you're going to see, especially after this week, where people are actually going to face it. So we have people watching our streams, which we appreciate, but we know it's not like it's not the majority of the community, right? So when this week comes and territory wars starts and people are going to face those ship battles, you are probably going to see the forums blowing up a little bit because people are going to be this hasn't been communicated to them. The territory
No.
war change has not been communicated to the fact that
Mm-mm.
you can now face 5 ships and you go in with 3. This isn't communicated anywhere. So now the whole concept of going to try and use like two fleets in order to beat 1, which is kind of what you had to average a little bit in territory wars. Like you would put 1 on defense, and then you would have the rest of your lineup in order to defeat 1. And if everybody in your guild did that, then you would essentially beat the zones. Um, that doesn't really apply anymore because chances are you're not going to be able to beat a fleet if you need 2 attacks. Because if you don't beat them in the first attack, you're not preloading them with ships. So there's too many pieces here that I think they introduced at once, and their main point was the reinforcements. So I don't know why they didn't just roll out the reinforcements and then roll out the changes slowly like they do characters. Can you imagine right
Yeah,
now
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if they
So I,
did a
I
big
yeah, so
change to characters? Just like, here's all the character changes we're throwing. Emperor Palpatine now doesn't shock anymore. Now he puts heals over time on Empire. It's like, what the
correct.
hell? This
Oh,
isn't...
and by the way, Squad Arena is now going to be 3v3 with 4 reinforcements. I mean, the biggest challenge that I see here is that we did a lot of talking about 3v3, but we didn't do a lot of introducing slowly. That's the part that I'm a little bit confused about, right? So I'm not even concerned about 3v3. I'm not even concerned about the fact that they had to redo, right? They had to redo they had to redo the stuff, right? I'm not even concerned about all of that. I'm more concerned about the fact that they they how they implemented it all in one go. And I am a little bit the other thing I'm concerned about is that we typically don't like to nerf a character, right?
Hmm.
We got characters that people have invested tons into and we nerfed them. I don't really feel like we had to do the nerf necessarily. We could have just brought those other characters up to that same level. That's the problem that I see.
Hmm.
Right? I mean, you don't have to take, you have a character who the character's whole deal is about evasion. You, you know, um, and that makes sense. That's what they
Yeah.
do. But that's what they do. That's why that character had no protection. It had 40% evasion. Now they have 20% evasion. I mean, you nerfed the character. Either that or go ahead and call it a nerf.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes they miss the point a little bit on some of these changes. And this also, what we saw this with Princess Leia as well. Um, the complaint about Princess Leia was primarily that it seemed like the opponent's Princess Leia was always triple tapping and yours was always single tapping, right? And all they did
Mm-hmm.
was increase the percentage chance of the triple tap, and I haven't noticed any difference, honestly. Um,
I have.
I've seen it in Galactic War. Now Princess Leia doesn't run in Arena anymore. So recently I've been doing Galactic War, and I faced her I think 2 times so far,
Yeah.
and she
My
triple taps a lot. Mine doesn't.
here's my biggest thing is most people don't like change, right?
Hmm.
Especially when it has to do with something that they spend a lot of time in, something that they spend a lot of effort at, something that they spend a lot of money at, right? And so what I see here is that they um they didn't give the same um they should have made the change slower. And I don't see it. The other thing that I'm kind of looking at is from this update is how did we make the whole idea here was to get people to play ships more, and in my arena at least it seems like people are playing ships less,
Yep,
not
mine too.
more. Right? It seems, I mean, there's less movement. I have to move up less. Most people are just kind of scared, I guess, at what's going on. I mean,
Mine are getting
they don't know.
frustrated with attacks. Mine are trying to attack and getting sick of the RNG because a lot of the teams, like if you run a Biggs with, and even your lineup, you're using a Biston, so it's a little different because he kind of gets the auto target lock. But
Hmm.
a lot of the other characters, I'm seeing a lot of TIE Advanced and TIE Fighter Pilot, which is what I'm running on the front line. If you don't hit target lock in that first turn, you're pretty much done. Because if you
I
can't
mean,
get
I'm
that
just,
taunt on
I mean,
Biggs, it just doesn't work.
am I still sharing my screen? I mean, there's five
I'll
guys
put it
in my
on.
payout.
I'm putting it on now. Yeah.
There's five guys in my payout that are supposed to be in the top five. We sit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now. So there's 30 minutes left to go in the payout, and there's two guys sitting in their spots. Two guys are 2 hops from sitting in their spots, and the one last guy is way, way, way down here in the 30s.
Where's
Right?
Ewokin?
I don't even know where Ewokin is. Let's try to find Ewokin. Ewokin's another one of the Ewok. We were supposed to do a special one-on-one with Ewokin, trying to help him understand where ships are and how to help him with ships. There's Ewokin. Ewokin's payout was 25 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's sitting 33rd. Ewokin has one of the best rosters in the game.
Yep.
I mean, this guy should be able to kill it. Big shout out to Frozen and Carbonite. That's McVenom and Ewokin's Guild. So big shout out to them. But I just feel kind of I mean, these are the same players that spent tons of money in this game, and they spent tons of money trying to get ships when ships first came out. So I'm a little confused, right? I'm a little confused as to what the end purpose is here. I'm a little confused as to what we really want. What we want this to look at. The same thing too, right? And I think so. It's okay if you change something. It's okay even if you have to nerf something, right? But I feel like what needs to happen is that
You have
that
to do it incrementally.
if you're going to do it, it needs to be done slower than what was done, right? And besides being done slower, than how it was done, it also needs to be where you get something super cool out of the process. And I'm trying to find the silver lining here. Like, what is the super cool thing that we got, right?
Honestly, it's funny.
And
So I've seen different things about why people like the ship updates, right? The funny
sure.
part is the reasoning that I see is rarely about the actual ship 3v3 system in itself. Largely, it is that
So
they
what do you
like
find
some
that
of the
people?
changes to different factions. Which just goes back to our point. Why couldn't they just do a first order ship rework? Why did they have to change the entire system?
I
Why
don't
couldn't they
know.
just do a Geonosian update and then add a couple of separatist ships? Why couldn't they do a Empire rework if they wanted to, right? And give TIE Fighter pilot new abilities but nerf his dodge and just do it all in a clump? Why did it all have to be at once? The problem isn't that
I don't.
players.
So we, yeah. I mean, so the problem was is we spent 6 months. We spent 6 months with um no changes to ships, and we effectively got ships rolled out almost exactly like how we got ships rolled out before. There are guys in my arena that don't look that I don't even think they're in a guild right now because they're so upset about what's happening.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to and I just don't want to have an issue where people are so frustrated that they're contemplating not playing anymore. I mean, some of these people I've played with, for 2 or 3 years, and I get it. The the point the point is sometimes when you make a change you lose some of your customers. I don't think that they necessarily had to lose their customers if they had done the implementation a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about this one right here where we finally got 3 more tiers, right? And you got to use your own. But if I go here to this one,
This event
I
units.
have to use I can't change the fleet commander. I can't change the event units. I get to throw one extra ship in.
Yep.
And that's it. I get to throw one extra ship in. And this is a neat battle, I guess. This is neat where they're going to tell me, you know, that some characters enter and are great. Great. We that's cool. Why don't I get to experiment more? If you really want the player to understand, why didn't we make this completely a sandbox mode for the beginning? Why didn't we do that? Why is this not completely sandboxed for like the first 3 weeks so that people can kind of decide what it is they want to do, and they get to find their own comps. That's what I don't understand. Is that you don't get to there's not a why is there not a bonus round? I mean, they've talked about how they were going to put bonus rounds and everything. Why didn't whenever I finished these three, I got to do whatever I wanted to do. I mean, you want me to buy a $65 pack? Why don't you let me play with some of those other characters that are in that $65 pack so I can see, oh, hey, they're really good. I need to buy that $65 pack.
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing it.
I'm
I mean,
not. And this is the first time I can say that well, actually, maybe the initial mod release. This is the first time where I can say they've done a release, right? And there's usually that time period where people are waiting to figure out what the meta is. And being a free to play player, I
right?
do that quite a bit. Because I'm not going to start investing in something necessarily until I know that it can work, right? But in all the other transitions, and mainly they've been with characters because ships has been kind of stale. Can you remember a time where your team in Arena didn't feel like it could still do things until the new team showed up? Like even before Emperor Palpatine, right? It was Jedi Training Ray or CLS. You had those teams that were always able to rise. Then they made the change to Emperor
Yeah.
Palpatine. You were still in a position for probably a good week or two where your team still worked.
Oh,
until
maybe,
the Emperor Palpatine
yeah,
team
maybe
started to
longer.
show up. Yeah. And then you kind of made that transition. This
Yeah,
change
maybe
was such a
longer.
whole scale change that literally a lot of people are feeling like their ships suck. Like they're getting shut down instantly because they're not adding new ships, right? They just rework the old ships, and now everyone is trying to find the new combination to do this and that. And it's going to take a little while. We said it before. It's going to take probably a couple of weeks before the meta kind of straightens out. Um,
I agree.
but if you're a player that doesn't have a lot of ships, right, and you're not a veteran player, I think part of the problem is the veteran players, or the elder players as they call it, are disconnected from the newer players. And the newer players don't have all the ships. They've spent time investing
I
in
agree.
particular ships. Now they have to wait 2 or 3 weeks while their current ships suck in order for them to wait to figure out what ships to farm, because they can't spend time farming something and then wasting time on it. If you use fleet currency on
No.
Spy, you're going to fall behind if Spy ends up sucking.
Well, and you can't use dual synergy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
where are we? Here's the thing, right? Whenever it was Empire and it was Empire basically for ships, you could justify that, right? Because you were able to say, well, Empire is good in other areas, right? And so the challenge here though is that I don't even know where Geonosians are good.
They're
I
probably going to end up
like
being a territory war team, I think.
Okay, but I mean, you got what? You got, I mean, let's look at Geonosians for a minute, right? As characters, right? We don't have a ton of them,
No.
right? As characters, we can't even make a full faction.
Yeah. And two of them are, I mean,
That's
one of them is really good. I love Sunfac. I think Sunfac is awesome. One of the
I love
best kind
Sun
of
Fact.
non. He's one of the best plug and play tanks that you can put in. So I really like him.
The
Geonosian is a
he
damage
is, but
dealer,
he
but yeah,
yeah, but I mean, even Sun Fact, he's not the best. It's not an auto taunt, right? It's
no.
easily dispellable.
Hmm.
I mean, I mean, he's kind of a.
But counterattack dispel is really nice though. I mean, it's situational for sure, but he's
It's
really really tanky
situational.
in those situations.
I get it, but I'm just saying is that we would never tell anyone to farm any of these four
No.
before this re.
Mm-mm.
If someone told you they were farming Sunfac and they weren't farming Kylo Ren, or they weren't farming Scion, or they weren't farming, I don't know, pick any other, they weren't farming Bays, right? I mean, we would tell them to farm those other characters over this. And the reason why is because those other characters had multiple utility, right? I don't see a ton of utility in this group. Even if we go back and we look at this pack and we look at the ones that they've done, I can't, in all honesty, tell someone, hey, I think it's a great idea if you farm Plo Koon. And honestly, if you have fives, that's great. But I can't honestly tell you that I would tell someone to go out and stop everything they're doing and go farm fives,
Mm-mm. And I see,
right?
I know not everyone agrees with us. So I'm looking in chat, and I know some people
I am
are
too. I
are
see them.
defending.
I see
So
there's
I'm going to ask
some people are
one
defending.
simple question, right? For those of you that are defending this update, wouldn't it have been better if they released the new abilities with the new levels and the new mats, so the reinforcement mats, with the omegas, which people have been waiting for, and then done factions one at a time? That's all I'm going to ask. I'm
Yep.
not asking anyone to comment on the particular changes. We haven't really commented on the changes necessarily, just primarily the rollout. So simple question, why couldn't they have done it? Don't you think it would have been better to first release the upgrade to the levels of the abilities, just like they have done Zetas to characters before, just like they did Omega additions to characters before, and then have then done reworks to each faction and ended up with the same change to First Order, end up with the same change to Rebels. And if you're saying no, tell me why. Why did it have to be a whole scale change? Because
Yeah.
this is the exact same way they do it in Arena. So if your complaint
Right.
is that it's not a good system, then that means you hate the way they're doing in Arena, and that just means you hate the way they manage everything in the game.
Look. Yeah. So I do. I want to hear what Chet has to say. I do. I mean, we see it, right? I mean, they rework bounty hunters 1 month, and then, or they rework, 5 out of 6 bounty hunters, and then we go back in and they rework, Ewoks, and they give us a couple more Ewoks, and they go back in and they rework First Order, and they give us 2 or 3 First Order characters. Um,
I
you
think
know,
personally,
that's
reinforcement abilities change the way that you do fleet battles. Because now I'm not just pulling in. I don't have TIE Reaper on my starting lineup. TIE Reaper is my like one of my first reinforcements off the bench. Slave One comes in with a purpose with his taunt and his retribution. Just for an idea about the ships that I'm using in reinforcements, and they're working well for me. Which is that I use Reaper, Silencer, Umbaran, and Boba Fett, Slave One. Those are my 4 ships off the bench, and I can bring them in however I need to. Um, and they're lots of situational awesomeness. Actually, I love the combination of those. Oh, sorry, I substitute Silencer sometimes for Poe, so it just kind of depends.
mm-hmm.
But I think that the whole scale change is isn't a good thing. So Grim is saying no because it's easier for them to make the change all at once while there's a small selection of ships. That I don't think that's a fair assessment, to be honest. Why do they have that? Still doesn't answer the question why they have to do it all at once. There's a small selection of ships, yeah, but there's still quite a bit, and they have it as an active place where you're getting crystals. So I don't think that's a fair assessment, honestly. I've seen some other. Let me see what other comments are. Uh, Hideous says that the ship changes are minimal, so he doesn't care about it. I think that's the other part too. I think they haven't increased. If their goal was to try and get more people involved with ships, I think people that weren't involved are still not involved, and people that were involved left, and some people are still just as involved as they were. So I think overall the net was a loss of player involvement with ships. I honestly haven't seen, and maybe I'm wrong, so far I have not seen anybody say that this has brought new life to ships for him. Have you, Grande?
No.
And I mean, if the purpose was to get more people involved, I don't think this was it. Just looking at the final product here, if the goal was to get more people involved with ships, they, from everything I have seen, they haven't done it.
Yeah,
I've just
I,
seen
I just,
more
I
rage
just.
quitting and apathy to the entire process.
So again, I go back to, I, I'm, I think the content was good. I think the implementation um, could have left a little bit to be desired. That's the problem, right? And I could get it. We could discuss the 3v3 versus the 3v4, and we can have that discussion. It's like playing a different version of um, it's like it's like it's like playing a different version of poker. That's how I see it, right? And I'm okay with that, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
people like 7 card stud, and some people like 5 card stud. I get that part, and we can have a discussion about which is better, 7 card stud or 5 card stud. I don't have a problem with that. The problem is if you're gonna, if you're gonna change, right? If we were at the casino and they said, "Hey, we're gonna change from 5 card stud to 7 card stud," they'd be like, "Hey, in 30 minutes we're gonna change. In 20 minutes we're gonna change." But then they're not gonna say, "Oh, hey, by the way, it's queen high now instead of aces high." I mean, that's the problem, right? Is they changed it, but then they also changed how the cards in the deck worked at the same time, and they did it all in one go rather than just saying, "Oh, hey, by the way, we're gonna change clubs now, and then we're gonna change spades, and then we're gonna change diamonds, and then we're gonna change hearts, and then after all of that, then we're gonna say, oh, by the way, aces are no longer high, now it's queen high." Okay, great. That's the part that they did. And the thing is, when you do all of that, when you play a game of cards, you get to ante up each time. How this is not like a card game, how this is not like a card game is that we invested in each one of our cards time, energy, effort, and money. And whenever you change something and you nerf it, for lack of a better term, you have to do some give and take. And I don't feel like we got the same give and take. It seemed like to me what it seems like is it seems like they said, okay, which ships do people not care about the most? well, people don't really care about Plo Koon. People don't really care about Clone Sergeant, and nobody's running 2 out of 3 of the Geonosians. Sweet, let's make all those OP.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, it's like, well, our data shows, that nobody's spending money on Geospy. So let's make sure we make Geospy OP as hell, so that way people will have to round out their rosters. Stop trying to turn people into collector players. If people want to be gamer players, let them be gamer players. And then and let them be a gamer player. Don't make them be a freaking collection player. Some people want to be high speed, low drag. They want to do a bunch of research. They want to figure out which 5 characters are the best, which 7 characters are the best, and they want to max them out. Let them play that way, and let them be successful playing that way. Same thing can be said. You now have a legendary ship, the only legendary ship in the game, which arguably is not the best anymore.
So
You've effectively, potentially turned Chimera into Hermit Yoda. I'm not Hermit Yoda, Grandmaster Yoda.
yeah.
You have turned Chimera into Grandmaster Yoda, and you have turned potentially the entire Empire faction in ships into, into the Jedi's.
Yeah. And it's funny. So I don't know if he intended it this way, but it works. So M Perks wrote, "If you don't like Fleet, then just stop playing ships," right? Which is kind of funny because the whole purpose of this was to get more player involvement. So if your suggestion is if you don't like ships, stop playing, you are basically saying that CG made a mistake. Just letting you know. I don't know if you're intentionally doing that or not, but if the purpose was to get players to play, I love that response too. They're trying to do all this stuff to get player involvement, and the suggestion is just to stop playing. And then it was Nathaniel. Let me see if I can find it again. I think it was Nathaniel Miller. Where's the comment? Nathaniel Miller. So he wrote, "What they did was show that Pokemon style players were right." I can't argue with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
because here's kind of one of the bigger problems is if this is something that they would do, right? I don't think we ever thought that they would ever do a whole scale change to this magnitude of any game mode.
I don't understand the purpose.
I don't
That's
understand the
my
purpose,
problem.
but I don't think we ever thought that they were going to do this, right? Where they would essentially change every function of combat with ships in one giant rollout, right? I don't think we ever thought they would do that with any game mode. So what would prevent them from doing that to something else? And I think that makes it so people, when you do a rollout like this, you then worry about what this is going to affect in other game modes. Now, I know ships is one of those things that a lot of people didn't care about. A lot of people didn't play anyways. And that was part of the reason why they were trying to do a change. That doesn't mean you don't do the change in the right way. Because you set yourself in a bad precedent if it shows that you are willing to change an entire game mode for some weird reason that doesn't really make sense. Because if the goal was to get players more involved, you haven't done that. Sorry, it hasn't worked. So whatever their reasoning is, it is very unclear. And I'm not sold on the fact that it was just because they were trying to get more player involvement. Carrie did the interview with us, and she remember when we asked her about the sandbox mode. Her response
Mm-hmm.
was that when you don't have any kind of rewards to it, players don't play it. And honestly, I can't argue with that. When she made that point, I would love a sandbox mode. I would probably spend a ridiculous amount of time playing
I'm not
against my allies and
I'm
guildmates.
not even yeah, but I'm not even saying sandbox mode. I'm
No, no,
just
no. I
saying
was just using
you,
that as
you
an example, right? But that's what essentially was
right, right, right.
happening with
But
Fleet.
here's the deal: is if we change the mode, we need to, we need a sandbox mode even for a finite period of time inside events, so everyone gets time to practice. Everyone gets to figure out what works for them and what doesn't work for them.
Yeah. Well, that.
If you change the mode, look, at this point, the only way to practice in ships is to freaking kick your buddy's butt, right? The
Mhm.
guys who you're not supposed to kick their butt.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, I mean, good on you. You know, you're making us. You did make this table. You know, you made this Geonosian advanced tactics table, which looks like a forethought, but an afterthought, by the way. Like, oh crap, maybe we ought to freaking ask them what to do, but we can't even play. You know,
Hmm.
we can't even check it out. It's just, I feel like that this, again, the idea was great, the execution was poor. Um, and the communication was great, right? To begin with, the communication was great to begin with, but and I'm gonna wail on some of us, including us and the YouTubers for a minute. All the YouTubers, we went out, and for those people that have a dev account, for those people that have a freaking, I can play as many times as I want, as long as I want, whenever I want, and I have 7 accounts on a freaking their own server. Shame on you. You guys all came out with this freaking Q-tip girl video right away, but none of you that have that have the that have these dev accounts came out with tons of videos explaining different teams versus each other. Why not? Why not? You have those accounts for a reason. If you have that account and you did not come out with tons of videos, shame on you. Your job is to try to explain stuff to the community,
Hmm.
and you didn't. That's your whole deal. I get it. You may have access to the dev account, and you may not understand ships. Then freaking raise your hand and say you don't understand ships, and let's get somebody who really cares about ships in there with a dev account. Now, some of our great friends, I'm going to talk about Smithy D. Smithy D produced an excellent video. I mean, top notch video about ships. Smithy D's video is off the cuff, and there are a couple of other game changers that have done amazing stuff with some of these videos. I got let me just get Rumple did a pretty decent video. I'm gonna say some of these other people like Regulus, who's not who's not a game changer. Um, but a game changer most people don't know about, which is Rock C12, did a really great video with Phoenix, with Geonosians and Phoenix. That's great. I think they did great. Um, I think it was amazing. So, we'll have to we'll have to see.
So M Perks asked a question of us. He said, "How would you
Sure.
fix it if you could? You cannot revert it back to 5v5." So I'll answer this from mine, and then you can take it too, Grande. For me, it's out of the box already. I don't think there's anything you can do to change. The purpose of this is not necessarily to get ships to change. It's more that we get this issue fixed on how they rolled it out so we never roll out something like this again. So it's not about this. This is already done. There's no way for them to go back because honestly, if they try to go back to 5v5, and I know you said you can't, and literally they cannot, because if they do, I I am sure that there is going to be a massive upheaval of people asking for refunds on anything they spent in order to get 3v3 ships, and there's just going to be a bunch of people taking money out. And honestly, they would have a valid reason for doing so. So there, that would be one aspect where 5v5 would never come back. As for the ship reworks, now the ship reworks are done. There's nothing you can really do about it. More importantly is how they do something like this moving forward. There should never be
Mm-hmm.
a whole-scale change to this effect where you change an entire game mode along with all of the different characters. If you're doing character changes, you have a model that has worked with characters. You have the whole arena fact. In fact, the fact that it's smaller actually makes it better to do it in the way of arena because you're not changing anything on such a huge scale that people have to farm 800 new characters. The problem is ships had a very bad foundation to begin with. Ships was unfortunately did, and they've said this and they've been open about it, ships did not play out the way that they wanted to. it became a mode of combat that just became kind of boring. And except for the fact that the min-maxers of the game are trying to get fleet tokens in order to get Zetas faster, there isn't
Yeah.
a lot of other incentive until they added crystals to do anything in
Mm-hmm.
fleet. So it was a flawed system to begin with. I understand that. The fact that they don't add ships at all, like we've had, I think, a total of what, 5 ships in the past 6 months since the initial release.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm totally cool with ships reworks. I just feel like that if they wanted to do it, they needed, they basically like stopped everything and then they like plopped us all on it. I mean, it seems like what happened with ships in the beginning. Why didn't we say, all right, we're gonna? I mean, there's not that many ships, right? There's only like 30 something ships in the whole game.
Yeah.
We could have easily done factions of ships and then decided what it is we're supposed to do and what it is we're not supposed to do and just had gone from there, but they didn't do that. And so I mean, we have characters in ships that take a long time to get and they don't act like how they normally do. I mean, not even close. I mean, characters that never taunted that now taunt, and ships that removed like 40 or 20 or 30% turn meter that now remove 10% turn meter. I mean, I don't mind making a change to a character.
And here's
It's
the
just
other.
it's just it's just
Yeah.
if we're gonna do it, it needs to be done a lot slower and it needs to be done not all at one time. I mean, it's like, look, here's the deal. Ships is like an elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You don't freaking open my mouth and shove the whole thing down my face.
I have a bad image now, Grande trying to eat an elephant.
All kinds of friggin' questions. And I know I'm a country boy when I talk about it, and I'm sorry. Ugh.
So the other problem is they've already, and I know some people like ships. The problem is they've already told us what they think about ships. Ships is not a priority for them. And they did this in the, I don't know if intentionally or not intentionally, but they did so with the Q&A that they did on the forums. Do you remember the question about Porkins? And they basically said Porkins was not coming to the game, right?
Correct.
So that means that they have almost no intention whatsoever of releasing characters that are just going to be primarily used for fleet. So instead of releasing Porkins as a character, right, and making it known his abilities are there, he may not be that useful, but he has maybe one of the best ships in the game. Who knows? Maybe he's the equivalent of Imperial Probe Droid of ships, so he can just go in and kill a ship instantly, right? Instead of having that as an option, they said Porkins is not coming to the game, which basically showed you that their priority is not ships. Ships is basically just an add-on to the characters. The main focus is still trying to be the characters. And so all this, everything that they're trying to do with ships is all something secondary to characters. So why would you change it to this extent to at least minimize the people that actually enjoyed it the way it was? It frustrates the people that enjoyed it the way it was. It doesn't involve any more people than it did before because the game mode, by basically your indirect admission, is not your priority. This isn't your main game mode. You're focusing on the characters, which is fine. That's probably where you're going to make more money than anything else in this game. So
Yeah.
the reasoning behind these changes don't make any sense. And it doesn't seem like they're involving any new people. It's just disenfranchising the ones that were already liking ships. Or they were already in a rhythm with ships and just doing what they needed to.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to, if you're in the process of trying to win friends and influence people, don't freaking flip the table over, right? Which is effectively what they did. You had a majority of players that let's call it a small majority of players that actually liked ships, and by making all these changes at one time, you haven't exactly made it where where they're gonna like ships anymore, right? You're not gonna. I mean, 90% of the player base has already seen ships, so if you're gonna, and the ones that do like it, you are you gonna gain more or are you gonna lose more by what you did? I don't really see where my cake is in all of this. I don't really see. I mean, I get it. You said we had to do 3v4, 3-4, and 3v3 versus 5 with 3. I get it. I'll eat my turnip greens, and I'll eat my peas, and I'll eat my beets. I get it. But show me the cake. Show me the cake. Where's the cake? Where is the cool shit?
Yeah.
I don't see the cool stuff, man. I don't Where's the cool stuff?
Yeah, I think
And
the problem is
and,
they haven't shown us what the purpose is. And what they've told us the
and
purpose is doesn't match what the results are. So either it's very poor
agreed.
planning or there's something else going on and they're not telling us, and then that would go back to communication. But the communication's been good. So I have a feeling this is just ill-advised changes to ships by
I
somebody
agree.
that's, I don't know, it's just ill-advised changes to ships.
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like that. This kind of got started off maybe on the wrong foot somehow, and then they were too far down the road before they felt like they could make a change to it. Well, maybe, and they could probably make the argument. Well, we were reworking all of ships, so we didn't want to introduce any new ships. Okay, are we going to rework ships again? Please tell me this is the last time, and you're going to get on like a one ship a month cadence.
More.
And
Please more. If you're trying to make something a ships, you need more ships.
yeah, I mean, honest. Here's the deal: in order to make a ship's raid, we need like 60 something ships in the game,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about this back in January that we needed 60 ships in the game, and we haven't gotten a single ship in the game, not one single ship since um Rogue One. Rogue One, right? I
No,
mean,
we
we
got
haven't gotten
special
any.
forces. It threw that one in there.
Yeah, but that's a Rogue One thing, right?
No, special forces is uh Last Jedi
Okay, so we got special forces
and
from the last
Slicer Silencer.
and Slicer. So we
Yeah.
got both of them from the Last Jedi, but that was it, right? So in 6 months, we've gotten two.
I love it. Some Nathaniel Miller was a fan of all the ship changes. He's like, please no ship raid.
Well, I'm just
No, I
saying.
just love how people are like so divided on the ship content. It's like they're adding all these ships, right? So ultimately, there probably is going to be a ship raid or at least a phase of the ships, and a supporter of the changes is like, no, no ship raid. It,
I owe CG a mod review from Cybershark.
you do. You still owe Carrie a mod review.
I probably do owe her a mod review. I probably also owe her a roster review. But
Yeah.
the challenge here is that I don't feel like we have all the pieces. And I feel like that potentially we're going to lose some of our friends that we're playing this game with because we're trying to, we're trying to make this happen.
Yeah. I mean,
And I
so
think
let's do this, Grande. Let's assume, just for the sake of argument, I know we're not happy with it, but let's assume that this was the change that they wanted to roll out, and they wanted to roll it out all at once. Okay,
right.
what would have been your tactic to roll it out? So we'll give our suggestions on the way that they should have rolled it out, assuming that they wanted to roll all of this out in one big clump. What would have been your suggestion?
They should have freaking, I don't know. They should have worked. I don't think there was a great solution for them to have done this all in one big go. Right. I don't think they should have done it all in one big go. There's no need for this to have been
Mm-hmm.
done all in one big
I think
go.
we're in agreement there. Well, I was trying to think what if the decision. So we've had issues with that decision making to begin with, but um, I don't know. So I'll throw this by you, and then you can let me know what you think. Right now, with the way that Fleet is set up, right, there's pretty much only one place to test it, and
And
that's
I got
Arena.
freaking sniped right before payout. Can you
Yeah,
believe that?
and I
That's what I
mean
would.
that's awful.
Like right before I was trying to get everything done, I got freaking sniped right before payout. And I'm like,
So
are you freaking kidding me?
So right now, the only place to test is in Fleet Arena, and Fleet Arena has real reward consequences. When you add
Correct.
that, it's really bad. because people don't want to spend crystals in order to test their content, especially, to be honest, when you have double drops
Well,
going
besides
on.
Grande, right? Grande will
Yeah,
test
except
anything.
Grande. But I mean, they
Except
have double drops going on and stuff, so it would have been difficult. But what they could have done is provide players a 2-week sandbox mode just on this new ship format. Put it in the events, list it as upcoming 2.0 changes, and let people freaking test it. They don't even have it in game now that it's live. But if they had done this 2 weeks before, right, don't you think that would have cushioned the blow a little bit? People would have had an idea about what ships they were going to use. They could test it beforehand and be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this ship is good, this ship is good. And you don't even have to let them use their own ships. Let them use maxed out ships. So then they can see that these ships will be good, these ships will not be good. And then when you'll see people, if you're trying to get people to invest, you'll see them actually investing in those ships even beforehand, so when
Yeah.
it rolls out, they'll have them ready. With this
Yeah.
format, they basically made it so people don't know what the hell is going on. Like you said, there's not a lot of videos. Smithy put one out, I think it was today, right? That his video came out.
A couple days ago.
A
He
couple
put
days
one out
ago.
a couple days ago.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, Smithy has one. I know Mobile Gamer did like a live stream where he was kind of playing around with it. But we don't have any kind of like real official ones, right? So what they should have done is allow players to somehow test this mode on a large scale. Not beta testing, not game changer testing, the actual players. Because when you have a scale of this much change for an entire player base, you have to let them figure out what the hell is going on before it comes out.
Right.
When there is actual reward consequences to it. You basically have to. It's not a new game mode, right? It's not like a raid where you roll it out and people have to figure it out. This is a game mode that you are changing. So you have to allow players some method of testing, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what they have to do next time. We don't recommend this whole scale change to begin with, but you have to put in some kind of testing mechanic that allows players to get used to this beforehand. Because I think a lot of the anger is just the fact that they've changed the game mode almost with no notification. I mean, they told them that
Well, I
3v3
mean,
is coming.
they told us, right?
They
But
told us, but
telling
you
us,
don't see it,
but
right? Like, you don't have the ship
telling
abilities.
you don't have it. You don't get to see it. We didn't have. I mean, we didn't have 15 videos of. Oh, hey, by the way, my job. Hey, I'm Game Changer Juan Pablo, and my name is Game Changer Juan Pablo. Is to show you all of the Galactic Republic ships. Let's go through all of the Galactic Republic ships, and thank you to all my Juan Pablo Patreon
Subscribers.
subscribers, and I'm going to give this to you, and I'm going to show you what all the new abilities are for all of the new freaking Galactic Republic ships. And then you got Juan Pablo B, Game Changer. He's going to come in and he's going to show you what all the new Empire ships look like.
Yeah, and then test them
And
with
here are all
different
the Empire
capital
ships, and here's what
ships and
their
everything.
reworks look like. And and while we're at it, I'm also going to test like 10 times trying to theory craft a republic fleet. And then you got Juan Pablo C. Juan Pablo C is going to come in here and talk to you all about Geonosians, right? And then the other one's going to come in here and tell you all about Phoenix and all about a rebel fleet. And the other one's going to tell you about all about how you're going to freaking run Sith together and how you're going to run um, all this kind of stuff together. I feel like that we should have had bunch of freaking videos about is the mature stream later? Yes, the mature stream is later. I feel like what we should have had we should have had all of these videos to basically go over and like actually read through all the stinking abilities and say, here's what the reinforcement abilities look like, right? Here's what these different reinforcement abilities look like for this character, and I'm going to read it. um, and I'm going to try to see, what we can do and what we can, and how we could theory craft a team around this. But I just feel like that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Ships content transparency didn't happen, and we should have all been able to have, gone through that. Mos Def Isley is talking about it right now. Where's the forum post about all the changes for every freaking ship? and shows every freaking ship's abilities and lists all the abilities.
That wasn't compiled by somebody random on Reddit.
Yeah, Reddit did it. Reddit did it. But the actual developers of the game didn't do it.
We didn't get one like a
Is
character
this the
post that they
grouchy
always
old
put
man
up.
stream from Stephen Burgett? Stephen Burgett, I don't go off very often. I don't. And Ranger's not here. So Ranger can't we can't freaking say that Ranger goes ballistic all the time. But yeah, basically Finity and I are not happy. And you know why I'm not happy? I'm going to tell you. This sounds really stupid, right? But the reason I'm not happy is because some of these people that I have played with for a long time and I've been friends with for a long time. Some of these are friends that Finity and I have known for a long time. They're like contemplating what they should be doing. And that means everything about what they should be doing. That bothers me. That bothers me. We played these people for a long time. Grande just needs a hug. I don't need a hug. I need someone to actually fix something and actually do something. That's what I need. I need a post. Ranger's on vacation, people. That's so you just get Finity and I. So you get so it's a little bit different today.
Yeah.
No dipping on stream.
And we said it before. This isn't just because, and we said this at the beginning, and that's why I prefaced this. And if you guys are joining late, then I'll say it again. This isn't because Grande and I are struggling with fleet. I got my rank 5 today, and I didn't have to use any refreshes. Grande got into rank 4, but got sniped at the end. Rank 3 and got sniped. But this isn't because we're having difficulty with fleet. Grande and I are pretty competitive in the game, so we'll try and figure things out. And we'll let you know. We said it before. We don't want to tell you guys information that's wrong because we're still trying to learn the ships ourselves, and we're playing with it without a beta account or a dev account. We're just playing it in the game, so we have to use our attacks wisely. Grande may spend extra crystals. I don't.
I mean, I'm spending crystals to fight people because I have to learn. So
Yeah.
guess what? In another minute and 36 seconds, we can learn again.
Yep. So it's not about anything where we're struggling in ships. But part of what we do is we try to communicate a large percentage of the community, and especially the long-term community. I'll be honest, a lot of our community, we get new players, right? But most of them are the elder players. And when the elder players get frustrated, especially the ones that have spent a lot of money in the game, right? And they get frustrated with an aspect of the game, it's something that you should sit up and take attention to. And it's not because they aren't competitive. You know that they paid money, they put money into the game, they put time into the game, they have high rosters. I have every ship at 7-star. With previously their abilities all maxed out. They're not now, but they were. So it's not like the issue is any kind of struggle necessarily on our part. But that doesn't mean that they didn't release this in a way that does impact the community. And we want to make sure it doesn't happen again. And the way that they did this was piss poor. Sorry, it was piss poor.
They're showing so here's the deal. They're showing a list of the reinforcement changes. These are all reinforcement changes that Sanely Red just posted.
Mm-hmm.
These are reinforcement abilities. These are not full stats that changed. We have full stats that changed, man.
We have full abilities that changed.
We have full abilities that changed. I don't need the reinforcement abilities. And this is not all of them. This is not a list of each ship's new reinforcement abilities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. We have 28. They got all the reinforcement abilities in there. What about the full abilities that changed, man? What about the full abilities that changed? What about the lack of evasion that we have on certain characters? What about characters that no longer read, that used to reduce by 25% turn meter the capital ship and now reduce the capital ship by less than that?
I think Sanely was trying to make your point too, because he was saying this is a list of reinforcement abilities they gave us a day after Ships 2.0 was released.
Yeah.
And then he asked the
Why are they?
question too, why do we not have patch notes on all the stat changes and other changes to ships? Just like when they do with the reworks, right? They give us the old and the new, and they like give us like the green text for the new stuff, and they show us like the new stuff with blue and the old stuff with green or whatever it is, right? They always do that post when there's a faction rework. Why didn't they have that for all of the ships if it was that important?
Oh man, I don't know, man.
I mean, it just comes down to that they have not prioritized ships. It's that simple, and they they have somebody looking at
No.
ships and trying to find a way to get people more
Hey,
involved.
we get to battle again. Switch over to
Yes.
my screen. We actually get like real experience. Hold on, everybody. Learn from me spitting crystals like a madman. Dun dun na na na. Dun dun na na na. Sorry.
So while you're watching that, I'll tell you the ships that I'm using and the general
Yes, tell
strategy.
me the ships you're
Um,
using so that way we can learn from you because Grande might learn something because apparently he's just a whale in the dark.
so okay, so again, this is kind of caveated on the fact that this is currently what's working. And I don't know if
Yes,
this is
tell
going
me
to
what.
end up being the meta. So like that's
Okay.
why we haven't made a video because we're still not in a position where we can say this is what you need to farm since the change. That being said, my lineup is a Biggs, TIE Advanced, and TIE Fighter pilot in the starting three. I'm using Chimera still as my capital ship, and
Okay.
my reinforcements are TIE Reaper, uh, Boba, so Slave 1, Poe, and then, what's my other one? Hold on. Let me go to my ship's thing here. It is Scimitar. So those
Okay.
are those
That's
are my
working for you.
four reinforcements.
So
And
basically, if I get my ass kicked this time, we're going to figure out what you're doing because it
okay,
might be better than me.
so my general strategy is to focus on Biggs. So Biggs is still a really good ship. He's still one of the better tanks. And so I always just focus fire on Biggs because once they lose their taunt, it kind of ends up being over. And one of the things, at least on my shard, is that I only have one Zeta on my Thrawn, which actually makes my Chimera one speed slower than the other Chimeras, which actually helps me. So with so because my Chimera goes second, I can react to the opposing player's reinforcement, which actually helps me a bit. So because I have Reaper kind of in my reinforcements now, if their first ship is a Scimitar or a Slave 1, I can bring in Reaper and dispel the retribution that's on the ship that Scimitar has casted on, and then I just go ahead and kill it. So I don't have to worry about retribution. They have no other taunter because I can take out a Biggs in before the reinforcement comes out. So then when we both bring out a reinforcement, I typically
Oh my
have four
god.
and they have three. And
All right.
so,
Well, I lost that time, so we're gonna spend money for this stream. We're gonna go in with your team. Are you ready?
well,
So
I
let's go
think,
in with your team.
is your Thrawn double Zeta?
Yes.
Okay, so your double Zeta Thrawn may actually work against you. The
Well,
fact that
let's.
mine is slower is what helps me.
All right. Well, let's try the
We'll
team.
try
So
it.
you're saying,
Okay.
let's
So,
say you're saying it's big on the front lineup,
yep,
right?
Biggs, TIE Advanced, and then TIE Fighter Pilot are my two.
All right. So let's do this. So it's big. You're doing bigs. Let's make sure I picked bigs. I'm pretty sure I did bigs, and then you're doing tie advanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And who else?
And yeah, TIE Advanced and TIE Fighter Pilot. So those three.
And tie fighter pilot.
Yeah, you added TIE Fighter Pilot. You didn't add TIE Advanced. There
Okay.
you go.
There we go. Now who's in
So
reinforcements?
Reaper, Slave
Reaper,
1,
Slave One,
Poe,
Poe. Got it.
and Umbaran.
Umbaran.
Yes.
Just like that.
Yep. I think the order of reinforcements is slightly different, but that it doesn't matter anymore. They use AI
Okay.
anyways.
Yeah, they're gonna do it all, whatever. All
So
right.
focus fire on Biggs.
Biggs. Bam. Biggs again.
Okay, good. You got your target lock. So go ahead and
Biggs
use.
again.
Yep.
Okay, now it's my turn.
Okay, so use the basic with TIE Advanced. So now you can stack dots on Biggs because he has target lock. So TIE Advanced,
Right.
call.
Okay, we did it.
So
That
that
was a big
forces
old
him
hit.
to use a heal. So now he doesn't have anything aggressive. Now use your special with TIE Fighter Pilot.
Special.
Hit him again with your basic.
Hit him again with basic.
And now he has dots. So the next time Biggs will come up, yeah, hit Biggs, and he should die. There
All
you go.
right.
So now you have a 4-on-3 advantage moving forward.
4-on-2.
Or, well, no, because he'll call a reinforcement right after you.
Yeah, he will. So who do we want to call in for reinforcements?
So this guy that you fought will probably bring in a scimitar or a
Slave 1.
slave 1 off of the
Yep.
bench.
So who do you want
So
to bring
because
in?
of that, you'll want to bring in
We got
either
3
Reaper
minutes.
or Umbaran. I would say bring in Reaper, but don't use the dispel. Use the protection on
Okay.
Biggs,
Reaper.
and then use his protection special on Biggs. So give Biggs protection.
Okay, we gave Biggs protection.
There you go. Okay, which is fine. So he took 2 hits. So you'll have to do your basics on slave 1,
Oh,
and he has a
I
target
can
lock. So
remove it.
dispel. Yep, there you go. Now use
Which
your.
one now?
Now you can do an AOE because he doesn't have
Which
TIE Fighter pilot, so you can do the AOE burst.
AoE?
Okay, and just focus fire on. I would focus fire on first order TIE pilot. Once slave, or I mean, TIE advance. Sorry, TIE advance. Oh, okay, you can
Oh,
take out first order too. Either one. Take out for since you already started. There you go.
done.
Now TIE advanced. Slave 1, once he doesn't have the taunt and the retribution, is mildly useless. So now you can bring in.
Now it almost.
Yeah, you can bring in Slave 1. I would have brought in Poe to just take out TIE advanced because he would have like one shot him. And that would have given you like a 4-on-1. But your slave 1 is gonna kill things.
I'm at 4-on-1 now,
There you
and
go.
I'm done.
Yep.
Okay, so Shadow Val says he's using Thrawn, Biggs, Vader, Crew, Fives, Boba, Falcon, Cassian.
So I like Crew, but here's my one issue with Crew. If your target lock from TIE Advanced doesn't hit, it screws up like everything. Like freaking everything gets screwed up.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it's funny
using
because
Biggs.
it
I'm
can't
using
be
Biggs and
evaded and
close
resisted,
charges.
right? I know that it can't be evaded and resisted. So you can keep it that way, but it depends on the timing a little bit too.
Barin's reinforcement can actually put a freaking target lock on everyone right now, Grim. That's the reason why it sure. I mean, let's go back. I mean, Grim. I know we talked about this on Wednesday, but let's look at it again. Let's look at old Barin.
So
If you
DSP is
max this thing
asking
out of the way, it
why
removes
Thrawn.
25% turn meter and from all enemies, which can't be evaded, and grant allies defense up for 2 turns. Then inflict target lock on all enemies that are at 0 turn meter, which can't be evaded or resisted. That seems sick good off reinforcements. If I had enough of the little thingamaboppers to freaking level him up. Let's go do that. Everybody wants to buy packs. We're gonna buy a pack. Are you ready? Freaking Ranger won't buy packs anymore. Grande will buy packs on stream every day. You ready? Here we go.
So here's the thing. I don't know. Yeah. So the target lock on I don't know how it actually works. I'm fairly sure I've had your purchase is set. So
Yeah,
I'm pretty
it's
sure I've
fine.
had
You can.
matches
It's
where
fine. You
the
can stick it
target
on.
lock hasn't stuck with TIE Advanced, and I think it's because the entire attack was evaded. Um, I don't know for sure. I remember having fights where I would end up with no target lock going into Biggs' turn. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a bug or not. I know it's not supposed to because it says that it's not supposed to be evaded or resisted. But I've had matches in that same fleet, the same composition, where somehow it didn't have it. So I'm not sure entirely what's going on there, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I like
No idea.
Silencer, but I actually like Silencer off of the bench. So I'll sometimes substitute Poe, depending on who they're starting. Because now TFP doesn't really come off the bench. You can, but I don't see him too much off the bench right now. I see TFP more in the starting lineup, either him or First Order TIE Pilot. And so TIE Fighter Pilot will uh, if first order TIE pilot is in the lineup and not TIE fighter pilot, then oftentimes I will put in a TIE silencer instead of Poe, just for the stun off the bench, and his reinforcement is pretty nice also. So, I mean, you can put it's still about speed,
Ah,
which is
that's.
weird as hell. All of this is still about speed. It's
I
bigs
think
plus
it's
two
here.
fast ships.
I think it's removed. I think it's here. I think this is where I do it. Fives is gonna be coming in off the bench. I mean, it's gonna be. I don't see how fives is not. I don't see how fives. How
I
Unbarn
love fives
Starfighter.
off the bench.
I think fives is off the bench from now on. That's just me.
Yeah, he comes in and removes turn meter. Like, that's why I love him off the bench. And then he's tanky as hell. If they don't have somebody
Well,
that
here
dispels, he'll be.
we're gonna go crazy. Oh crap! We gotta go. We got five more before we can go crazy.
Grande.
Dadgum. We
I
got
hope I
five
am not
more.
leading you astray, sir.
Oh, what am I gonna do? That darn Finn. That darn Finn screwed me
Blame
over
Finn for
hard.
making me spend
I'm gonna.
resources.
Finn made me spend all my money. I can't believe it. Reaper says Ghost also does it, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna put more. You know how many freaking resources I have to put into the freaking Phoenix, man? I
I
mean,
like the
dang.
tankiness of Umbaran, though. Umbaran is, like, super tanky. That's why I like him a little more than Ghost.
It also it reduces the cooldown on Phantom, and Ghost does that. Man, I
But
gotta tell you,
it's the
I'm like
reinforcement ability
slow.
on Umbaran. Turn meter reduction, love
I'm
it.
slow. I'm slow grinding Phoenix, guys. You cannot tell me. Um, let's hope Grande channels Oprah, and you get a pack. You get a pack, and everyone gets a pack. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll have to see. Man, quit tagging me in Discord, everyone. Wait until after the stream to tag me. Daggum, everybody. I love you to pieces.
Grim, with the strategy I use, dispelling taunt off of Biggs doesn't even matter because I target him first. Once Biggs is dead, there's nothing really. You never have a cover for your weaker ships, so that's why it doesn't really matter for the lineup.
All right.
It just depends
Somebody
on your
just kicked
lineup
my.
what you're using. I don't see a purpose
Somebody
to
just.
Umbaran being on the starting lineup for that one.
So, somebody just kicked my butt, so now I can kick their butt. Let's go see.
Yay!
Or they're in the process of kicking my butt. Um. Yeah.
In
All
the
right.
process of kicking your butt.
Um. Yeah, we'll have to see. Anyway, he's in the process of kicking my rear, so I can go back and kick his rear. Way to go, Chili. The guy we're gonna play. I'll give big shout outs to him. I'll probably screw up his name and then have to do a whole freaking roster review on my buddy. But anyway, who's a really great guy who has a payout before the East Coast payout. Super nice guy in our chat. But anyway, we'll go through it. What else are you guys seeing? I spent packs. I don't know what else I'm supposed to spend it on. I guess I should probably spend it on somebody that's in my front lineup.
I love this, Grande. Here we are complaining
Like
about the
Vader.
ships, and then you spend money on it.
All right. Hey, I could spend it on Vader. Vader will probably stay in my front lineup. Oh, Vader will probably stay in my front lineup. Who else will probably stay
It
in my front?
depends. It honestly depends on who you want to run.
I
If you're
know,
running
bro.
Tarkin or Chimera, I think that this lineup will still work. I like Chimera. So they were asking why Chimera. I know he's a little bit slower, but I love his kit. The call to assist with his basic is
Oh,
really nice,
look, I
especially
could
with tie
get buff
advance.
immunity. I could get buff immunity up for one more duration. That seems cool.
Yeah, I mean it's nice, but I mean you saw how quickly you killed Biggs, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I could
so
get.
it's not necessary. I mean, it's a nice thing to have,
Ooh,
but
here's damage. I could get extra
yeah.
damage on his basic.
Mm-hmm.
30% extra damage. That seems nice.
Mm-hmm. But
What
yeah,
the hell?
I just like Chimera's kit. So the ability to heal, the insta kill is nice, although it's not going to get called as much. I think
What about Vader's? What
I've
more
used it
crap
very
should we stick
little.
on Vader? What is this one? Turn meter gain. I don't really totally care about that. Who else is in my front? Oh, maybe we should give Biggs some love. Let's go look at old Biggs. He's going to deal more damage. Um, 5% crit chance for each rabbi ally. Well, crap, he's in there by himself. That ain't going to do a whole lot of good.
The protection recovery
3%
is nice.
recovery. That's going to be garbage, right?
No,
so
that one's actually nice.
You actually think this one is good? 3%?
You gain, after you do it twice, and you get 8% protection recovery. Whenever enemy becomes target
locked. I'm
locked.
Gonna get my go check for Cassian's in the So Reaper is over here telling me I need to go check in Cassian as a reinforcement. Let's go look at old Cassian. If I can find him. Here he is. What am I supposed to be doing here?
You check his reinforcement ability.
Offense down and defense down on target enemy for 2 turns, which can't be evaded.
It's the other one. It's a level 3, so you do have to spend 100 reinforcement for this.
I'm gonna, guys. I don't have that much crap. Come on now. Come on now. I don't have that much crap, you guys. We only get to spend we're only getting a taste here. It's just the tip. You guys are getting just the tip with RSG. Okay. You guys need to stop. You're getting just the tip. We're not going full money today, all right? We can only buy the pack one time. I can't buy that pack again. I'm not buying a $65 pack for you guys. I mean, I love you guys, but I don't love you that much. All right? Come on now. Let's see. I'm probably going to keep using 5s because I love 5s. I'm either going to use 5s or I'm going to lose Slave 1. Let's go look at Slave 1. 10% more damage. That seems good. 15% chance to target lock. That seems good, especially if he comes in with Retribution. That seems good. And then more damage on his special. So do we do 10% more damage or do we do more target lock? What do you think? I think Slave 1's going to be in it for a while.
I think he's going to be a really good reinforcement for a long time, so I agree.
We can do both. We have the ability to do both. Here you go. We can have our cake and we can eat it. Man, that sucker's freaking expensive.
I don't think you need the target lock chance, honestly. By the time that you get there, so assuming you're using the same lineup, by the time that you get to the point that you're calling Slave 1, chances are your Biggs is dead. So you don't need all the additional target lock to do his protection recovery. You'll just be trying to snipe things down. So I would focus more on damage with his Retribution.
Who am I playing?
Chili.
I totally forgot what.
You said Chili.
Oh! Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to totally mispronounce this guy's name. It's Eyssalvil. Eyyssalvil. I'm sure he's going to hit me up in Discord. Freaking 30 messages in Discord, people. I love you guys. But 30 messages in 10 minutes. Holy cow. I'm streaming. I totally butchered your name. Awesome. I'm going to fry you, buddy. I promise. Let's see how this works. Are you ready? Dun, 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 dun. Let's go in here. Here we go. We're going to fry him. So do we like this lineup? We love this lineup. All right, here we go. Well, it's going to get bugged. Well, if it gets bugged, I guess I get more mad. I don't know what to say, Grim, All right, so his went first. You said we're going all in on Biggs because we want to kill Biggs first. So we got a target lock on Biggs. Now we can use we could use his call and assist. That worked out well. Now what are we supposed to do?
Call tie advanced with the basic on Chimera. So you add dots onto Biggs.
So we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. Oh, I took him out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that worked.
Well, now I would focus on advanced. Yep.
Now we're gonna focus on advanced. We got some stuff going on. Now we're gonna call somebody in. Who are we calling in?
So they're probably going to, so it's the same situation as last time, right? So they're probably going to call in either Scimitar or Slave 1. So I would bring in Reaper and probably pop protection onto tie advanced so he's not as squishy.
He gets so little crap protection every time I do that. I mean, it's like a little sliver, man.
It is. But you could attack if you wanted to, but it's 1 extra damage essentially, 1 extra hit. So it just buys you a little time. Use your special on tie advance.
Well, that didn't work out real well, did it?
Well.
Oh, apparently we're supposed to be streaming mature in a little bit.
Yeah, in half an hour. So we'll make this
the last one. Now we can disco, but I don't know.
Yeah, you didn't really have to because he gains it whenever there's a target lock. So
yeah. That wasn't my smartest move I've ever done.
All right,
I guess we're
AoE
gonna
the bad
do,
boy.
or are we gonna heal?
It's up to you. I would probably AoE and just go more aggressive because you have the ship advantage.
All right, we'll go. We'll AoE and go more aggressive. Here we go. Dadgum, that freaking his freaking. Oh, oh, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, I think you're gonna die this one.
I'm gonna die.
So he brought in a sun fac, which changed things. I was
So now
expecting
we
the
got it. Now what do
scimitar
we?
or the slave one. Yeah, bring in your slave one now.
Slave one. Here we go. Slave one's turn. AoE because we can hit 3 in one.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna kick my butt.
No, you can take out. You'll be able to take out sun facs.
Why did he not? Why did he not use retribution ever? Not one freaking time. Bye bye, Grande Patron.
Yeah. So knowing the reinforcements matters too. So now you know that sun fac comes in.
Yeah. So now he's gonna. Now I know he's gonna bring in sun facts. So now that's how I got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Jiminy Cricket, man. I'm telling you, but I can't remember his freaking reinforcements every time, and he could change it up every time, right?
Yeah. So one of the safer bets is to bring in Umbaran instead of TIE Reaper. Because Umbaran will dispel with his basic, and then you have a tanky ship that won't be as fragile as Reaper. So in general, I made the assumption there, so sorry I led you astray there. But if you bring in Umbaran, you have a tanky
I'm playing it.
ship.
This is a freaking toilet game. Let's all remember that, okay? It's a toilet game. let's all freaking take it with a grain of salt here.
Yeah, so if you go with Umbaran, then you'll bring in a tankier ship that does a dispel with his basic and a target lock guaranteed with his special as soon as he jumps in, which means that your bigs will gain protection. So you can always... Umbaran is usually going to be your safer play, I think. If you're going first. So the reason I play differently than you, Grande, I go second because I don't have double Zeta Thrawn.
Yeah, and I almost always go first.
Yeah. So because I go
that's
second,
a cheap one.
I can react.
Why are those so cheap? Dang. That one's so freaking cheap.
I'm wondering, Grande, if it... I'm wondering if maybe there's a benefit if you like switch one of your Thrawn mods down to a 4-star so you can go second. I think going second is a big advantage.
You got to go 2. You got to pull 2. And look, I run Thrawn in Arena, bro. I'm not about to. I mean, I run Thrawn in Arena. There's no way.
Just while you're doing your climb, drop it and then move back up.
Okay. The number one rule of Grande Patron is we don't ever switch freaking mods around.
Fine.
Look. Look. My mods are perfect. I don't switch mods around for nothing. See that? They're all perfect. We don't ever switch mods around. Never, ever, ever. Do we ever look? This is why we don't ever switch mods around, like ever, because I have them all exactly the way I want them. See, we don't. I paid money, so I don't have to switch mods around. Look,
all right.
Somebody's mod is not leveled up. That's atrocious. We have to level that.
So now that you see Grande's mod OCD, I think now is a good time to call the stream.
I do. I have serious mod OCD. Yeah, we saw me win. We saw me lose.
So the strategy depends on your capital ship and everything too, in terms of...
Oh, man.
If it goes first, if it goes second. I like going second because I can react to the reinforcement. So it works out nicely for me, and I can pull ships based on what's in the match. If you go first, I think Umbaran is the safer play with this lineup. But, yeah, so we'll try and give you guys more ship content.
We'll try to give you more ship content. Maybe we need to start doing... We need to start doing a ship Saturday.
Yeah, we can try and do more ship shows. Like I said, it's not necessarily that we don't like this content. Just to make it clear, this wasn't necessarily the fact that we don't like the content. We don't like the way that the change was rolled out.
Yeah.
And we don't want it rolled out in this way anymore because it's not a way that makes it so the community can embrace the change and enjoy it. So we'll have fun with the game mode. As much as we can, and we'll try to help you guys figure out what ship lineups are the best. But the problem is that the way that they rolled it out was our biggest complaint. We don't want to see it happen again, and we hope that this kind of stuff doesn't happen in the future. So that was our point. It wasn't a gripe on the ship change itself, just the fact of the rollout. So
it's not what you did, it's how you did it, Finity.
Yes, it is. The means doesn't always justify the end.
Totally agree with that too.
All right. So on that note, There will be an RSG Mature stream starting at 10 o'clock on the other YouTube channel. If you search RSG
Yep,
Mature, you guys can
you'll
join
see it.
the night crew there. But with that, Grande, do you want to say bye to the peoples?
Bye, people. Thank you for watching our show. And we will, the next time Finity and I are just in a chat by ourselves ranting, we'll stream again.
Yes, and surprisingly, we agreed, which is
We did.
stream worthy itself.
We actually we agree more than we think, I think, these days. So that's cool.
All right. So with that, everyone, have a good night, and we will see you next time.